Hello and welcome back to Direct Capital channel. Welcome to today's market update on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. It's going to be a short one today, but before we dive in, thank you. Thank you for being part of this channel. Thank you for subscribing to this channel, for liking my videos. I really appreciate it. We are almost 1,000 subscribers strong. How cool is that? How awesome is that we were able to go from a small, modest audience to 1,000 subscribers together? It's awesome. It's amazing. So to celebrate, how can we not celebrate this? We have to celebrate. So to celebrate, next week I'm going to be hosting a free live stream where I'm going to be taking all of your altcoin requests. So I'm going to be doing some technical analysis live for you guys. I'm thinking about doing it on Tuesday, 7 p.m. UTC. 7 p.m. UTC seems to be the golden time to host these sort of things, so I'm more than happy to do it on Tuesday, 7 p.m. UTC. So let's get Direct Capital channel to 1,000 subscribers and let's make the Tuesday live stream happen. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, then I'm going to post it on Twitter and we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it official. Please leave your altcoin requests in the comments down below. And of course, the altcoins that you mention the most and you like the most in the comments down below, those are the ones I'm going to make a list of and talk about in the webinar, or at least the live stream. Because speaking about the webinar, we had a blast yesterday. The webinar was a massive success, so much so that at the end of the webinar, before we even finished, people were asking me, Rect, when's the next webinar going to take place? So that's awesome. I'm really happy that it turned out so cool, so well. I'm definitely going to host another one. But of course, if you missed the webinar, don't worry, because you can watch the webinar even today if you really wanted to. The link is down in the description down below. It was recorded and we spoke about a lot of cool things, so you can definitely check it out. I had a blast yesterday. It was awesome. The engagement was red hot. So many awesome questions. The energy was really good. The enthusiasm was there. So that was awesome to see, and I'm definitely going to host another one in the future. Speaking of the Bitcoin halving, this happened. I appeared on the Brave New Coin podcast with Andy. We spoke together about the Bitcoin halving and my article. We spoke about, is the halving priced in? We spoke about the efficient market hypothesis, and we spoke about the stock to flow model. I had an amazing time on the Crypto Conversation podcast, so give it a listen down below. The link is in the description, and let me know what you think. Alright, let's dive into today's market update. We're going to keep it short and sweet. So Bitcoin has recently rallied to the upside. It broke out from this narrow, unsustainable range. So we were expecting a volatile move to the upside. This was a bit of a fake out though. That was a fake out past the range high resistance, or at least the support right now. We can't really say much about the daily because we have a lot of price action, which is it's just going to be figuring as a resistance in the short term. So let's zoom out and let's think about what we could potentially see going forward. Well, so far we're just going to be grinding upwards for Bitcoin, perhaps some consolidation as well, because like I'm talking about, I mean, there is a lot of there's a cluster of price action here that's going to be weighing down on price as part of the sell side orders that are in the order book for Bitcoin. So that's going to be causing a bit of friction for the buyers. There's going to be a lot of that happening in the order book for Bitcoin. So we're going to see some grinding upwards. It's going to be slow movement probably. So once Bitcoin gets past this resistance at which it's currently at, 9,800, it will open up the doors to go to around 10,900 or even around the 10,200 mark. So yeah, we have a lot of resistances here. So we're not going to see exponential movement, a green dildo of sorts on a higher time frame. So it is going to take a bit of time, but we're definitely bullish right here on Bitcoin. It's just going to be a bit of more of a grinding movement more than a fast one, because once we really breach this resistance right over here of 11,600, that's the main resistance that Bitcoin has to breach for it to really propel upwards. Once that happens, then we're going to see fireworks. I feel that if we breach this region right over here, then we're going to get that 16,000, 17,000 pre-halving yearly high for Bitcoin. So Until this is breached, we won't see that, but in the meantime, lots of resistances in this cluster of price action, so we're going to see some grinding and consolidation for Bitcoin going into the halving, and then a breakout to new yearly highs if history repeats itself. In any case, let's move on to Ethereum. This is the 1 hour bull flag that I shared on my Twitter a few days ago, and we're just seeing Ethereum pretty much going off the charts. It's been going nuts recently. It's amazing because these are periods of consolidation for Ethereum, but this is when altcoins have been doing very, very well here as well, and even here in these periods of consolidation. So we are in that money flow cycle where large caps are taking center stage for the most part, along with Bitcoin. And later in periods of consolidation, smaller altcoins do very well. Something I spoke about in yesterday's video, or at least the day before, because yesterday was the Bitcoin halving webinar. So we haven't seen the altcoin second rally yet. And that's something that we're going to see probably next week going forward. So if you'd like to learn more about where we are in the money flow cycle and how to prepare for the next altcoin rally, that second leg, feel free to check out that video about altcoins and the rally, or at least the rallies that are yet to come. Over here on Ethereum, every time we breached the 200 EMA, we only had a small period of consolidation, right? Followed by really impressive price action. Is history repeating itself? Well, so far so good. Ever since we broke the 200 daily EMA, we saw some start and stop for Ethereum, but it seems to be taking off very nicely. Is history repeating itself? So far so good. Of course, I'd like to see a dip on Ethereum before we continue forwards, because that would be more sustainable rather than a straight up green, a series of straight up green candles like we saw over here. I'd like to see a bit of a dip, but in any case, dips are for buying when it comes to Ethereum, that's for sure. So far, so good. History seems to be repeating itself. And in fact, if we look at the fractal from 160 to 360, 160 to 360, 160, 360, 160, to be continued. The fractal appears to be repeating itself on the weekly, so I'm excited about that one. Let's see how Ethereum figures at this 220 resistance, because at the moment we can't really press past that. And actually remember that over here, this is 220. This sort of dip after that strong uptrend to the upside, we saw a dip for Ethereum and it rebounded from 20 to 20. So 220 was flipped into a support. Right now it's flipping, or at least figuring, as a resistance. So curious to see what we see here. Will we see a dip, or will we see Ethereum blast right through? And depending on what happens, I'm going to be able to adjust my strategy accordingly. In any case, the fractal seems to be in full force, so excited to see it. In any case, Ethereum is pretty much at its bottom anyway on the macro sense. I mean, on the macro sense, we're around here, and just looking at Ethereum's price action and what's done in the past and whatnot, on the macro scale, it doesn't really matter. We're at the bottom, really. Nobody's in the future, when Ethereum's going to reach a very high price point, then we're not going to be talking about, oh, maybe I should have accumulated at 220 or 200. We're not going to be talking about those $20 differences. We're going to be talking about much bigger figures in the future. So yeah, we're pretty much at the bottom for Ethereum. And when it comes to Ethereum BTC, this is something that I was talking about in my video about why investors are bullish on Ethereum. And of course, you can check that video out at your own leisure on my channel. But basically speaking, every time we've seen a break past the 200 EMA, we've seen at least a 17 to 20% rally to the upside for Ethereum BTC, followed by a retrace to test this 200 EMA as a new support. And this is something we were talking about in that investors bullish on Ethereum video, that we tend to see a breakout past the 200 EMA and then a retrace to test that 200 EMA into a new support, so as to springboard on a moon mission to the upside. So that's what I'm expecting from Ethereum BTC in the short term. So far, so good. It would have to break past this green level right over here. This was a previous support, and now it's figuring as a new resistance. So right over here, it was a resistance, right over here, resistance, and right over here as well, resistance. But once it clears that, then we'll most likely visit this region. Moving forward, Litecoin BTC, we're seeing some consolidation at these highs for Litecoin. We could be seeing a flagging structure of sorts on the 4-hour, but if we zoom out to the daily, we are basically trying to retest this 200 daily EMA and the top of its historical accumulation box. We're trying to test both of these confluent levels as a new support so as to springboard into higher price levels. And so far on the weekly, we're actually seeing this retest attempt. So we're seeing this retest attempt on the higher time frames, a potential flagging structure for Litecoin BTC. So far so good. It's good price strength confirmation at these levels right over here. So I'm happy as long as Litecoin maintains itself above here. But even if it wicks down to 0.65, for instance, in the short term on the daily, should that even happen, as long as the weekly maintains itself intact, then we'll be all good, because this is pretty much setting itself up for a nice start of a new market cycle for Litecoin BTC. And it happens to be the altcoin that I'm most bullish on in 2020 because of its cyclicity. So if you'd like to see that video, there won't be that element of surprise where you'll be guessing, what's Rec Capital's number one altcoin for 2020. There won't be that element of surprise, but it's a very good video where I talk about Litecoin's price action in a lot more detail. So guys, that's about it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching today, and thank you so much for watching yesterday and all the other days that you guys have been tuning in to Direct Capital channel. I really appreciate your viewership and your support. So let's get Direct Capital channel to 1,000 subscribers, and let's make the live stream happen on Tuesday, 7 p.m. UTC. Leave your comments down below when it comes to altcoins that you'd like me to have charted on Tuesday in the free live stream on YouTube. I'll send out a link next week, but let's get to 1,000 subscribers. Leave your altcoin comments down below, and if you see an altcoin that has been already mentioned in the comments down below, give it a like. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that, but also feel free to give a like to today's video. And of course, check out the Crypto Conversation podcast down below. The link is in the description. Check it out. It's an awesome listen. I really enjoyed being on there, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as well. That's about it for today's video. I'm Rect Capital, and I'll speak to you soon.